And I'm here to tell you guys, yes indeed, you are bad at Sonic games. Alright? You are, and we're gonna find out why. What's good, people? It's your boy. And today, we got a special video, okay, look, called Why Are People So Bad at Sonic Games? Not me, though. You know what I'm saying? Not me. Very interesting video. And you know, I ain't gonna lie. I think Sonic is actually a pretty hard to get into game. Like, I don't think it's as simple as people say. But I wonder what Splash Dash is gonna say in this video. Splash Dash, y'all go, you know what I'm saying? Check them out. I'm gonna like the video. And we know who you are. Mark.
No, Sonic the Hedgehog can be a pretty divisive series, to put it lightly.
Iconic kid.
Stop hating on Sonic!
Some people love it.
Iconic.
Some crazy people.
I ain't never seen that. I ain't never seen this. Okay.
Some crazy people hate it. But if there were a narrative around the series that plagued online discussion for the longest time,
Let me guess.
it would
They're
have to be that
IGN
the Sonic
people?
franchise started to go downhill the
Holy
second they made the
map.
jump to 3D. Of course, we as a society have begun to move past this nonsense. Sonic Adventure is a great game. Dated as all hell. But
Gotcha.
Sonic's
It
first
is.
string of
It
3D
is.
outings were highly praised at the time of release, as well as being massive commercial successes.
Like, for
Yet
the
some
time,
reason,
you gotta think about it, like, for the time. How good were these games? You know what I'm saying? Like, for the time, you know what I'm saying?
time of release, as well as being massive commercial successes. Yet for some reason, the narrative online always seemed to be about how perfectly simple the 2D entries were, how brilliantly all their mechanics came into place to create a set of some of the best platforms ever developed. But when Sonic went to the scary third dimension, this simplicity was lost. The basic, easy to pick up and play control scheme has been made infinitely more complex when taking the added access into account.
I guess you could say Sonic had a rough transition into 3.
The games were too fast. Sonic had become impossible to control without careening off the side of the stage. Bottomless pits became the player's biggest enemy
Oh,
over,
God, okay.
well, the actual enemies.
Hey,
What
you
were they
y'all leave
thinking?
heroes alone,
No,
aight?
this isn't a video
Leave-
about Sonic's
leave
jump
heroes
to the third
alone.
dimension or whether or not you can justify these criticisms. Not fully, at least. Instead, I wanted to talk about something I've noticed for years, which led to a question I've had in the back of my mind for the longest time, yet I could never really figure out the answer to. At least, not until today. And that question is, why are people so bad at Sonic games?
Indeed.
The 3D ones, specifically. But first...
No, they be shit at the 2D ones too. The 2D ones are just more digestible, I guess, right?
It's almost comical how 9 times out of 10 when you see a person spout this rhetoric of how bad the 3D Sonic games are, you'll see that exact same person play the game, and they suck at it. It makes you wonder in certain cases, is the game actually bad, or are you? Obviously that doesn't work.
But the Unleashed video, IGN video is so horrid, bro. It's so horrid, bro. That shit is so bad.
In every case. Really bad, or are you? Obviously that doesn't work in every case. Being bad at a game doesn't always mean it's some misunderstood masterpiece
Oh God,
you just
low
don't
frames.
get.
Jesus
And you can
Christ,
be a
low
pro
frames Unleashed.
Fortnite gamer at certain games and still think they suck. But my perspective comes more so from noticing an almost unwillingness to engage with a Sonic game's mechanics, and then proceed to call it terrible when said game rightfully punishes them for it.
Yeah.
But even beyond all that, it's not just Sonic haters I'm talking about. There just seems to be something about 3D Sonic games, the early ones specifically, that give them a much higher barrier of entry compared to his contemporaries like Mario or Crash Bandicoot. I have extremely vivid memories of letting my little cousin...
I will say this though. Just because they are bad at the game doesn't necessarily mean that they're not allowed to critique it, right? It's just that said critique is not even really a critique at all, and it's just straight up hate. Not even good hate. Like 2 out of 10, I hate you.
And play through Sonic Adventure 2, Heroes, and Generations.
True, that's why Heroes suck. See, see. You ain't gonna get to it.
Fed through most of the Mario
You're gonna
games.
get
And there
to
was
it.
just something about it he didn't get. I noticed when he died, he'd get much more agitated than he did when playing other games. As if he felt the deaths weren't his fault. Not to say there's no kid out there who could pick up and play these Sonic games. I was that kid. But it's certainly a lot harder to get into for the average person. In fact, this thought came to me while watching 2 videos.
See, my first actual game was Heroes, you know what I'm saying? I can handle the jank, alright? Game's been janking for me.
The first was an IGN clip of the cast of Sonic 3 playing City Escape, where Ben Schwartz, who's meant to be promoting what's basically Sonic Adventure 2 the movie, says,
Well, I got the game to play on Xbox, and I found the controls
I've never seen
to be
this.
so difficult that I watched a playthrough.
and the second being a very
That's kind of crazy. I never knew they did those. Is that Roger Craig Smith?
old stream the official Sonic social media did with current Sonic voice Roger Craig Smith.
I've never seen this.
Got him to play through City Escape. Went about as well as you could imagine.
Oh no.
Oh, come on.
I know the voice actors, they're not gamers.
Is this why everybody
Oh,
likes City
God.
Escape? I'm hitting A when I should be hitting
Sonic
A.
angered the police, so...
Why am I, like, oh, look.
You know,
pressing the
fair,
button As
fair.
soon as I get to it,
It's
it's not
fine.
happening.
One thing,
Oh, come on. It's so not fair. I pressed the B button.
they're math, but...
Oh.
I type shit.
you do this.
Look,
You gotta
just,
take-
you got it, bro. Oh, God. Bro, fuck the enemy. Fuck the enemy.
Oh, why did I do that? Why did I do that? You should have told me not to do the homing attack. This is really frustrating.
You know, I find it funny though, right? I swear, if I see them play a Mario game, the concept of holding down the jump button to jump higher just leaves their brain when it comes to playing a Sonic game. If I was to look up a video of somebody new playing Mario, they would not like have problems with this concept. But maybe it's the homing attack, right? Maybe it's the fact that, oh, well, you do a homing attack and then the game just does things for you, I guess. Because like, dude, like just hold the jump button and go higher. It's like when I say this to people with heroes, right? It's like, dude, like once you homing attack, you can make these leaps if you hold the jump button after the homing attack. Like you gain more air, like you get more air, you know what I'm saying?
When it comes to City Escape, the funniest part to me is that 9 times out of 10, it's the same moment that stumps people. The same moment where their skills are put to the test, and more often than not, it results in their death.
Why is he
That
bald?
section is-
Man, lay off my goat. He's not my goat Sonic, but he's a goat voice actor.
Something which would be child's play in any other 3D platformer seems way harder for people to grasp
Right.
when put in control of Sonic the Hedgehog. I have seen more people die at this specific moment than I've seen my own father. It's weird, right? You know,
That's real, man.
it's not like they're at final
Trauma,
rush
trauma,
or
trauma,
anything. This is stage 1. What's meant to be the tutorial. To someone who's played City Escape a million times over, it's like, what are you doing? Why? Now, of course, I'm not criticizing their inability to lock in, so to speak.
To lock
don't
in,
get
don't
it
you?
twisted. I also don't care that Roger Craig Smith is bad at playing Sonic. That would be ridiculous.
Right, of course.
I guess I'm just more so confused than anything. Why are Sonic games so hard to get into compared to most other 3D platformers? Well, I think I've managed to come up with an answer. I want to discuss the one element which I believe causes 3D Sonic games to be so much harder to pick up and play for the average gamer. And that element is the jump / homing attack.
Okay.
Now, this all might sound completely asinine.
I think, yeah,
Really,
it's definitely
the
gotta be a
jump.
homing attack.
That's why you think it's so hard for people to grasp Sonic games. Well, yeah, kinda. Obviously, Sonic doesn't have the most insane, hard to wrap your head around jump of all time or anything. You know, you press the button and go up. Grind-breaking stuff. But it's the little things that build up, which I believe resulted in a lot of folks struggling with Sonic's control scheme. And
perhaps, like, the
ironically, it all
speed
stems
that they're
from the
going at
efforts
before they
Sega
jump,
made to
right?
try and make things as simple for the player as possible. In the classic games, jumping was pretty simple to understand, being an evolution on the type of movement revolutionized by the original Super Mario Brothers.
Right.
But now more than ever, your speed influences how far your jump takes you.
It's the speed.
Instead of being binary,
But see-
you know, pressing right and jumping sending you the same distance no matter what the circumstances,
almost it.
which quite a few games did back then. It then became expected for the player to be given full control over their jump, to control your trajectory in a way that felt realistic. The faster you went, the harder it was for you to control your landing. Want a bit more agency? Then just take things slow and take advantage of the greater sense of control that comes with it. Once again, influenced by Super Mario Brothers, the way Sonic interacted with enemies only aided in keeping the player's flow. If you want to be more
my
cautious,
God.
you can slow down when you see an enemy and bonk them on the head, or take the safest approach possible of rolling into them. The disadvantage there, obviously, being you're completely at the mercy of the level design.
Right.
Whereas, if you feel skilled and, most importantly, confident enough, you can take the option of jumping into enemies without slowing down, trusting your jump and keeping your flow as a result.
See, this
You can
kind of
get
shit
some-
is just not in, like, 3D Sonic, though, man. I wish it was, bro. I wish it was a way for them to replicate, like, this shit, doing
skilled
magnet
and,
bounces
most
in
importantly,
3D.
confident enough, You can take the option
It's
of
so
jumping
cool.
into enemies without slowing down.
That shit is
trusting your
really
jump
fire.
and
I feel
keeping
like it
your
could
flow
work
as a result.
somehow.
You can get some insane height by doing this. You're basically treating the enemy.
Actually, some 3D, some fan games actually do that, right? Don't they tie to the homing attack? I played a couple of fan games where they do that. Don't they tie to the homing attack? I think Sega should look into that.
He's like
That'd be
glorified
cool.
bunch pad.
Like you can have the option to just do a regular homing attack, but or like if you do a different kind of homing attack or something, you can like bounce off the enemy and keep your momentum or something like that. I think that'd be
can't
pretty
think of
cool.
anything more Sonic than that. In 3D, a problem arose, however. With a character as fast and unwieldy as Sonic, how can we alleviate any frustration that may come with tediously trying to land your jump on enemies? Of course, we all know this sparked the creation of the homing attack, a move which lets you home in on nearby targets to make sure there's no chance of missing, as well as the air dash, basically just what happens when you perform a homing attack when there's nothing to home in on. This was an incredibly smart decision on Sonic Team's part, especially given the super short turnaround Sonic Adventure had.
I think the homing attack inclusion was
months.
genius.
They most likely didn't have the advantage of getting to test out Sonic's controls over and over again to make sure they were perfect. I mean, for comparison, it's said that Nintendo spent roughly that same amount of time on Mario 64 just on making sure Mario was fun to control. Time was not on Sonic Team's side, and so the homing attack was a needed inclusion. I think, in hindsight though, the implementation of the homing attack ended up having pretty major ramifications in the way some people approach Sonic games, and that they used the homing attack as a crutch. Gotta specify again, not a homing attack hater or anything. I like the homing attack. It's fun. And when used properly, I find there to be a kind of rhythmic satisfaction from pulling it off. But however, the way it's used in certain Sonic games only really serves in letting players get away with not getting as accustomed to Sonic's controls as they could be, if the game asked more from them than just pressing jump twice.
Yeah, like it just kind of works for them, you know what I'm saying? It kind of just works for them. But in like an Adventure 2 like game or Adventure 1, it's kind of like it's an extra thing to do in the air, and it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna make this platform or not, so I guess I should homing attack. Like the homing attack is the thing to do here, so I press homing attack. Oh shit, it shoot me somewhere that I didn't expect it to shoot me. Fuck. Does that come with like the tension as well? As like, oh god, gotta make this jump. Homing attack to make the jump? Sure.
Example for what I mean. How do you approach this segment?
But new games don't.
Well, realistically,
new games
you're just kind of expected to press the homing attack button a couple times. Perfectly fine. I like this segment. And as a tutorial, it's a great way of showing the player how they can chain enemies together to reach greater distances and avoid other obstacles such as the bottomless pit. However, moments like these, I think, have the sad ramification of
look at Roger here. Look at Roger here. He's literally spamming it.
However, moments like these, I think, have the sad ramification of teaching the player.
Like, it must feel good to do a short hop and then homing attack or something like that. Like, homing dash, you feel me? It must feel good, right? It must feel good, like that little quick burst of speed. But he's spamming it so low to the ground.
To have an over-reliance on the homing attack. You know, press A in case of emergency.
Yeah, look at that.
In reality, the segment is easily beatable by just jumping. But it's something the game rarely asks of you, which is weird because a moment like this would be the perfect way to get a player accustomed to how giving your jumps a running start can be the difference between life and death. I often see players, instead of taking a step back and building up speed to ensure your jump takes you to where you want to go, instead, air dashing to get
I don't know if this is gameplay or not.
But because of the game's odd collision, air dashing into an object oftentimes results in them being flung off into the abyss, and getting frustrated because, realistically, that's the main move they've been taught to rely on. Because of how much air drag Sonic has after jumping, it results in the player, without even thinking, going into panic mode and instinctually pressing the homing attack button. Again, press in case of emergency. In which this sudden burst of speed they've been given becomes overwhelming. Too much to follow, and they careen to their death as a result.
But it must feel good to do because they keep doing it.
When it comes to the homing attack, I often witness people approaching a bad nick or a series of bad nicks and start spamming the attack button trying to chain through them as fast as possible, which the game obviously can't handle and sends them to their death. This is because
that's what makes the older 3D games so much better than the new ones, man, in my opinion, bro. Because like that like automatic like homing attack that we got nowadays just is so boring, bro. It's just it's more than or it's less than what it used to be, you know. Back then it was more than just, okay, press X, press X, press X. It's like a timing thing. Okay, press X, move towards the next target, press X, you know what I'm saying? The height and stuff like that too, you have to be make sure like you're right above it. it was just a lot better than what it is now. Now it's
In the
just
early
whatever.
3D games,
Just
Sonic's
press the
homing
button.
attack went at an arc. It was as realistic as something as absurd as an air dash
lock-
could
it
be,
just locks on.
sending Sonic downwards because gravity and stuff. But because Sonic no longer gets as much of a bounce from attacking as he did in the 2D games, he doesn't have enough height for the game to register the other enemy being within range. You're generally only able to homing attack stuff below you, or at the very least on your level.
Right. I was just gonna say, like, right here, this would be cake. Like, this would be so cake. Because reticle, now you're just up here. Instead of this being like okay, you can spin dash to get some speed up this slope. These are enemies in your way, though. You know what I'm saying? Instead, it's just, okay, hey, homing attack them real quick. And then you're good.
You're generally only able to homing attack stuff below you, or at the very least on your level. The game attempts to teach the player this through the first boss, Bigfoot, in which you have to specifically homing attack his cockpit in order to do damage. Like that segment from City Escape, I cannot begin to tell you how many
gotta be,
times
like,
I've
leveled
watched
with
someone
it.
try
Yeah,
to beat
Jesus
this
Christ.
fight by just spamming the homing attack button when he lands and hoping for the best. Not realizing by holding down the jump button, Sonic goes much higher than just by tapping it.
I promise you, this
becomes even
concept
more of
doesn't
an
like
issue for
resonate with people
unable
for
to
some
catch
reason when they
on to
play
the fact that
Sonic.
You can hold down the button for added height after using the homing attack, allowing you to go much higher in the air and therefore
I see a lot of people spam with heroes, bro. And it's like you're not supposed to spam it. Like, there's certain instances where you can. It's not optimal, right? It will just randomly shoot you off and be like, what the fuck? How'd that happen? Blame game. And it's like, you're spamming it, though. Like, the game's not even understanding where you're facing when you're pressing the homing attack again.
for giving the game more of a chance to detect other enemies. The first boss of SZ2, while incredibly basic, I can appreciate at least attempting to try and help the player understand the basic power of their jump. You even get the chance to attempt to hit him early by jumping on top of these wooden crates, and holding down the button to try and reach him as he flies by. But it's something I rarely see new time players pick up on, getting frustrated that the game won't allow them to hit the bosses that take damage. And while it would be easy to blame the player for this lack of skill, you know, at a certain point I have to wonder if it's partially on the game for not communicating this better. That's a slight issue with Adventure 1 and 2.
Yeah, they could tell you, hey, hold the button down to get a higher jump. Do Sonic games do that? Have they, like, is there like a Omachow where there's like, oh yeah, hold the button down to get a higher jump? Do they ever tell you that? Or even then, if they do tell you that, do they tell you can do the same thing after a homing attack?
Me loving those games and appreciating their confidence and just throwing the player right into things. What they miss there is a more overt tutorial that shows the player how to grow accustomed to a character like Sonic, a character undeniably harder to control than most other platforming mascots.
Right, very different.
People oftentimes criticize the first adventure game for beginning with a boss fight, but I
Really?
get completely why they did that. Putting you in an
People don't
enclosed
like this?
area and
This
giving
is
you a
easy as
clear
shit.
target to defeat in order to get used to this newfangled homing attack. But what I think they miss out on with this is a chance to let the player get used to platforming as Sonic. Kind of important in a platformer. I don't know, maybe a boss against Chaos Zero where he's constantly evading you would have been better. You're sent down a linear path as he runs away, causing destruction in the streets. You being forced to platform around it before reaching him at some kind of...
Hot take, this final boss fight is so boring. In my opinion. It's so boring. I love the like spectacle of it running through like a watered down city and stuff like that, but goddamn, like, it's so boring.
destination, in which they finally show you how the homing attack can be used to aim at targets. Shows you how to effectively perform the homing attack, while still not overemphasizing that compared to general platforming. Seems like Sonic Team eventually came to realize the fact that a lot of players struggled with 3D Sonic games, and decided to take action to make them more readily accessible to a general audience. So what did they do? Improve his controls? De-emphasize spamming the homing attack and make the importance of learning how to control Sonic easier?
Nope.
What do you think? It seems like the
What do you
approach
think?
with fixing player frustration started with them making a move like the homing attack freak the player out less. With each game it got slower and slower, so they can more easily prepare for whatever move is right to make next. They got rid of its arc. Instead it now sends you straight, so now you can more easily use it as a way of making sure you can make it over bottomless pits.
Yeah.
They eventually
I think in a game like Unleashed, though, it makes sense in Generations, you know? And this Colors has a double jump. Yeah, I think it makes a lot more sense in the Unleashed and Generations, but I think the arc would still be a lot better, you know?
the air dash distance super pitiful, ensuring it doesn't cause you to lose your
Hey,
bearings
BL6.
because of how far it sends you. Until today, where the air dash is no longer
Yeah,
a
we don't
move
even have
Sonic
it
can
no
even
more.
perform, being replaced with the much simpler to grasp double jump.
I will say the boost dash in Shadow Gens feels kind of like a homing dash, you know? Like, it kind of goes at that arc, and it's not as overpowered as it is in Generations. And I do like that. So you get the double jump, and you kind of get a pseudo homing dash, right?
A great
Cool.
conclusion when it comes to crossing great distances, but still doesn't make me shake the feeling that this is being used as some kind of leeway for folks who aren't capable of reaching their goal within a single jump.
It's
Not
definitely
a bad
that.
inclusion. It's rather helpful. But it's so helpful that platforming has become a tad mindless. There's very little incentive to get good at controlling Sonic's jump because now you have a second jump to correct yourself. And the homing attack has somehow become more of a crutch than it already was. In another universe somewhere, there's an evil, fucked up Sega who with each new Sonic game de-emphasized the homing attack,
Oh,
allowing
God.
for it to be used at what it was always intended on being, an aid. A little bit of help for aiming such a fast character in 3D. Not his primary function.
Right.
Overall, I like Sonic Frontiers, but it's hard not to deny that for a majority of time spent in these massive open zone environments,
Yeah.
all you're doing is pressing a single button. They've even simplified the range even further by allowing you to now hit targets from below Sonic, removing any sense of realistic physics by having Sonic awkwardly shoot
That's true, bro. The homing attack, you don't even have to be in the air in Frontiers. You don't even got to be in the air. That shit just locks on when you're on the ground.
himself upwards.
Is that the only
let
game
me
that does that?
text.
I
When
think it's the only
approaching
game
the
that
fourth
does that.
island, I was really excited to see how they would tackle you climbing these truly massive towers.
Oh God, Ray
Oh
Allen.
boy,
Yeah.
what have I got to do to get up there?
Alright guys, alright gamers, here's how many
Oh, no,
button
he's actually
presses
doing
it
it.
takes me to get to the top of one of these towers.
Oh God. That boy. Last match about to expose.
Sonic, it's so big I
He's about
can't
to-
even view the camera that high. Jump. Jump.
Oh God,
Jump.
yeah.
Jump. Jump.
He
Jump.
just got done playing Generations. Don't worry.
Jump. 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 Homing. Jump. Didn't even use that jump. I wasted it. Homing attack. Homing attack.
Oh my God, you fast
Homing
forward,
attack.
Jesus
Homing attack.
Christ.
Homing attack.
God, it's so bad. It's so bad, bro. Oh my goodness. Jesus Christ.
No, I'm here. It's like, was that fun? I don't know, a little, I guess.
Look, I
It becomes so
guess, yeah,
simplified that
it
it's no
was
longer
fun.
satisfying to use. Like, at least back then, you had to aim the thing in the direction you wanted to go,
Right.
as well as being within some kind of close vicinity of your
Right,
target.
and have like the
However,
approximate
with
like
time, the
height
range
for
in
it
which
too.
you can perform the move has reached a ludicrous degree. The downtime you're forced to spend between attacks in order to ensure you're not spamming the move makes you feel like you're moving at a snail's pace. They've stopped the spamming issue altogether by no longer making it an option. And I think the most disheartening thing about it all is that this undeniably worked. I mean, think about it.
Oh no.
Pinpoint to me all the frustrating moments from playing as Sonic in the first few 3D entries.
Yeah.
My mind jumps to the shoddy hit detection in Skydeck, missing a reel in Final Rush, that pumpkin chain in Heroes. It's easy to assume that when watching someone play one of these games for the first time, they're gonna have experienced at least one death at these parts. However, in Forces, Frontiers, I just
Never.
can't think of any because
Yeah,
half the time I feel
none.
like I'm on autopilot.
None.
And
It's
people
brain
love
dead
it
easy.
because of this lack of frustration, because of the constant spectacle given to the players for basically just pressing a single button. It almost feels like the game is tricking the player into believing they've done more than they actually have.
Alright, next Sonic game, Gross.
I love it. I love this game. Great job, Sonic team.
This was set to Sonic Forces? Every
Oh,
Sonic
hell
game
no.
releases, no
Oh,
matter
hell
how
no.
polished, no matter how fun, just feels like you're doing the same series of actions you've been doing since Sonic Adventure. Only each subsequent time it gets more and more mindless.
Right.
There's been no evolution. No matter how fun I think some of these games can be, it's hard not to deny that for the most part they've consisted of performing the same action over and over
Yeah.
again for the past 25 years.
It gets to the point to where you have to make the Sonic game so interesting to where it doesn't even matter. Just put the homing attack in there. But there's other interesting things here. You feel me? Like Unleashed was the beginning of the whole reticle shit with the homing attack. But there was stuff there that was like, okay, it's distracting us from, okay, this homing attack is actually a lot easier. What the fuck, right? It's actually like distracting us from the fact that these games are getting fucking brain dead easy now. Oh my god. It's same thing with Shadow Gens as well. When we get games like Forces, and it's like, okay, even the stuff around the homing attack is also easy. And the homing attack is just press the button. Yeah.
Why? Because it's easy. Games like Unleashed or Generations, in my opinion, could get away with a simplification due to their high speeds.
What'd I just say? Tight shit.
Games like Unleashed or Generations, in my opinion, could get away with a simplification due to their high speeds, the fast reflexes they expect from the player. The challenge seen there primarily comes from more than just the platforming. But in an attempt to make the games as accessible as possible, I believe Sonic
Generations is an
Team
easier
have
game,
taken
but
the
it
easy way
still
out
got
by
some challenges.
actively leaning into this crutch, by not expecting more from their players, by catering to this lack of engagement, whether it be from the automation to the simplification of moves. To me, it all comes back to the jump. Something fun I like to do while playing through Shattered Generations is try and beat a stage while actively engaging with as little automation as possible, and it made me realize these characters are more than capable of doing this.
Tight shit.
Look at a stage like Kingdom Valley Act 1. Most of these jumps Shadow is completely capable of making on his own, and so I can only wonder,
Well, you are spirit
why
gliding,
is
but
there a spring sending
sure,
me over
sure, yeah.
here? Why doesn't the
No,
game trust
why
me to
not?
do it myself? Why don't they involve a different mechanic that results in the same outcome of using a spring, yet requires more from the player than just homing in on it?
Right.
Why
And it's
doesn't the
faster.
game trust me to do it myself?
And it gotta be faster too, right? Gotta be actual incentive to do the harder thing, right? Homing attack can be an aid. It can be. But you could have more there, more nuance, so that people that actually want to like have a little bit more of a challenge, and also it will be more optimal to do said thing. That's where the satisfaction comes from. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think this is intentional on Sonic Team's part. I just think they've focused on the wrong fundamentals of Sonic. It's not the springs or the dash pads or the boost. It's the satisfaction of knowing you used your abilities, as well as your surroundings, to get to where you wanted to go. That's what makes skipping
So
the
that
bridge in
is
World Coast
Splash
fun. That's what makes real jumping in Frontiers fun. That's what makes Sonic fun.
Facts.
So again, we reached the
Facts.
question.
Yo,
Why
Katara, thank
are
you for the
people so
22
bad at
months.
Sonic games? Because Sonic games let them.
Hold on, I gotta play that again.
So again, we reached the question.
That's a fucking bar.
Why are people so bad at Sonic games? Because Sonic games let them.
Was that Lil Wayne's that Lil Wayne video? Woo! Woo! That boy dropped a bar on our heads. God damn. Why are you so bad at Heroes? Because the game lets you. Why are you so bad at Unleashed? Because the game lets you. You can't say, why am I so bad at Forces? Why are people so bad at Frontiers? The game don't let you, bruh. No player expressing this. No reason to get better. That's really crazy. Oh my god, W video. W fucking video. But yeah, I 1000% agree. They need to add more to it and let the homing attack just be an aid. They need to just actually like hone in on that and be like, okay, homing attack is for those that don't really want to think, you know what I'm saying? That have a problem with playing a Sonic game and it's like, okay, here's this homing attack thing. You get this cool little thing going on there. Woo doo woo doo woo. Bink, bink, bink. That could be an easy mode thing too, maybe. Because they had easy mode in Frontiers with all the balloons, like extra balloons and shit like that. It just makes you homing attack more. But maybe that could just be like, okay, turn on easy mode, here's the homing attack. Maybe. I think you just have the homing attack there in general, actually. But yeah, I like that. Hey, that shit that people be doing in the fan games, the homing attack, boom, launches you off like it's a magnet bounce from the 2D games. I think that's like, for it to be an option in a new Sonic game, I think that would be fire. Especially in the open zone one, bruh. Especially in the open zone one. That would be fire. Fuck a homing dash, that glitch shit. Fuck that shit. In cyberspace, that shit is broken. This is broken. Broken. At least the spear gliding, right? At least the spear gliding shit. That takes a lot more of, like, execution to do. Homing dash cancel is disgustingly broken. It's just, you're flying over the whole stage. Like, you're not interacting with the stage at all. I hate that shit. For, like, nothing. It's easy as fuck, right? Yeah, I think if they do that, add the magnet bounce to the homing attack in the open zone game, that would be fire. That would be fire. If Frontiers 2 comes out and it's the same like homing attack shit, I might actually be disappointed. I might actually be disappointed because I can just tell the platforming shit is just gonna be so boring, right? It's just gonna be boring if they keep it that way, you know? W fucking video though by Splash Dash. Y'all definitely go check them out. God damn, that's gonna do it. You guys enjoyed today's video. You already know what to do, man. Smash that like button. Comment down below what you guys think, and last but not least, subscribe to your boy. We're on the road to 30K. We're actually almost there, like 200, about a little over 200, I think. Spin me up. We do this weekly. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna catch y'all. I'm out. Deuces. Bye.